Hey everybody, this is a Tony Apologetic. Uh, we had spent time on our last video talking about the cosmological argument for the existence of God, and this video I said we would do the teleological argument for the existence of God. And essentially what that means is that everything in the universe has order, it has a sequence, and a lot of it looks like it has quite a design built into it. And what this is essentially saying is that everything that is around us looks like the probability of it all falling into place would be extremely astronomical. And astronomical is not even an appropriate word for that. And we'll see why here in just a minute. But as we discussed in the cosmological argument, that a little bit of understanding that needs to take place is first that matter, space, and time all are supposed to exist at the same time in order for all these things to fall into place. And that is where you draw the separation between the cosmological argument and the teleological argument. The cosmological essentially says, bam, everything happened. And then you have the teleological argument that tries to explain the things that have already happened, which would be us. So there's a couple of different things. There's over 100 different formulas per se that are tied in with the teleological argument. One of them being the critical density of the universe, and the chances of the universe being able to hold life is about 1 to the 10th to the 15th power. So, and that is one of our smallest numbers that we'll be talking about. And what that essentially means, if I had to put a real life example to it, would be like if you had 10 trillion pieces of rice and you painted one of the rice black, and then you blindfolded yourself, and then you put the black piece of rice somewhere in the mix of all the white, and you were able to walk straight up to it. You're able to pick out the black piece of rice, and then you're able to, bring it to whoever's asking for it. But essentially, what we're saying is that the chances that life would be able to unfold are almost impossible for that to happen. Now that's just one of them. There's also another one that's called the cosmological constant. And what this says is that the universe is expanding as we know it right now, and many scientists think that eventually it'll get to a point to where it's so far out that sometimes it's going to retract, or it's just going to go out into nothingness. But in order for life to be, in order for stars to be made, in order for planets to be made, that the probability of the universe not expanding too fast, and the probability that the universe will be able to hold its own throughout the entire process would be 1 in 10 to the 120th power, which if we put a number to that, it would be 1 in trillion out of 1 out of trillion, 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 trillion. That would be 8 trillions. And it would be the same scenario, where you had a piece of black rice and that many white rice, and you tell me to blindfold myself and I pick out the black piece of rice. Now, the chances that both of these things exist together would give us a number that we can't even wrap our head around. It's mathematically almost impossible to even consider a number that would be that much. So, like I said, there's over 100 of these different things, and all of these things have to match up in order for it to start to make sense that we would even get to the probability that we would be sitting here and I could be talking to you through my galaxy. So sorry, I'm not an iPhone dude. I just gotta throw that out there. But as we see, it tends to be, as you're starting to add up all these numbers put together, and I only want to get into the conversation, about DNA and RNA, and the fact that those two have to be perfectly with each other, and that's upon trillions, one out of trillions as well. And you see how you say, okay, well maybe one of these things would match, but the fact that all 100 or more of these things, those are just things that we've discovered that scientists agree with across the world, that it's pretty astronomical to think that life, that the probability that life exists is very low. So it's not like something that Christian theists think only. It's something that that those in the secular world also agree with. So you add all those things together, and it's just like you start to formulate your own ideas, and as you're trying to put these things together, you start to realize that the probability of believing in God seems to be greater than it would be, tying all these things together and trying to make sense of them. There is one theory that refutes what I'm talking about, and that's called the multiverse theory. And you sometimes see that on History Channel or National Geographic. You know, the guy with the crazy hair, and he's like, aliens. No, but in reality, they think that that there can essentially be a multiple number of universes, that we're not the only one. And each one of these universes has their own set of laws and their own set of objective truths, like their own set of mathematics, which I'm not sure how you could make mathematics more perfect or less perfect, because 2 universes plus 2 universes equals 4 universes. I don't know how you get around that. But what they're saying is that all these things out of the endless amount of universes that happened, ours just so happened to have everything fall into place to where it has design. And that, my friends, in of itself would require an intelligent designer. So not only have we gotten to the fact to where our universe requires intelligent design, but if we accept the multiverse theory, then we already assume that there's something designing the multiple universes to get to the part to where many of them are discarded, which would mean they don't exist anymore, which means you don't have multiple universes. Or many are kept, where there's lots of different universes with life. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like kind of a far stretch. So, and if we're assuming like the probability of, let's use Occam's razor for instance. My grandfather talked about that a lot when I was younger, and I really appreciate it, Grandpa, if you're watching this. But the probability, usually something is more probable with the fewest amount of assumptions made of it. So basically saying the easiest solution to a problem is the most direct solution to a problem. And this is not always the case, but what if we looked at that philosophically for a minute and we expanded it to the ideas of a multiverse theory, where we're starting to realize that the more that we add into the multiverse theory, the more our numbers getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger of the chances of everything having to fall in place. So you're adding into a solution and getting further away from the answer. So, and then we get into this whole discussion about the different objective truths that if one universe had a specific set of objective truths and another one didn't, then what is objective truth? Is mathematics the same in that universe as it is here? Yada, yada, yada. So that's just a little dabble into the teleological argument for the existence of God. Now, we started out with the cosmological argument. Now we went to the teleological argument. Guys, if you have any questions, ask in the comments. I love talking about this kind of stuff. But I think the next video we're going to do is on the eschatological argument. And that one's a little bit more difficult. But, guys, thanks for watching. And you guys, like I said, just comment below. Bye.